Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyler with the Budget Marksman, and I got the opportunity to shoot a lot of military surplus rifles the other day. There's actually a video to it. I'll leave a link right now. One of the rifles he brought out was the Mauser 98, and out of all of them, this, from an objective point of view, is probably the best battlefield rifle out of the ones. If you're looking for a military surplus rifle and you don't want to get a Mosin, get one of these because it's awesome. It shot very well. It was dead on and hit that 18-inch plate probably damn near. I mean, without the shooter error, it was hitting that plate every time. There was one guy who had one out there who's a little bit better shot, and his Mauser was just every time hitting that plate, and that was very impressive. I would consider that extremely combat effective at 200 yards, and we didn't really shoot at the 300-yard plates, but the way it performed at 200, I would guarantee you that this thing is more than combat effective at 300 yards. So the action on it is super smooth. It's something that we're all used to, especially here in America, and pretty much all over the world as well. If you got a bolt rifle, it's patterned after the Mauser. And starting from the rear, one thing I did like about this one as opposed to the Mosin, and they're shooting a pretty comparable round. The Mosin has that weird kind of flare up at the top, and I'm telling you, my shoulder's yellow and purple looking, from shooting it so much. I probably put 80 rounds through it, plus, a bunch of rounds through these. But it doesn't have that flare up there. And this, I don't know the exact purpose of this, but it definitely helps with taking down the bolt. If you watch any YouTube video or something like that on taking down the Mauser bolt, you're going to use that little knob. And one thing that I don't like on this and the Mosin is having the sling run through this. Now, I guess it's really not that big of an issue, but I'd rather have the sling swivels like on the Enfield and, modern guns. So the safety is definitely a plus because, if I'm going to buy a Mauser or something like that or a Mosin, I'm probably going to take it hunting too. I think it would be cool to take down a game animal with with a military surplus rifle. So having that safety is definitely a plus. It is a little loud, so I'm sure you'd have to be careful with that. The bolt, it's beautiful. It functions very well. You have that big extractor. The cocking hand or the bolt handle is in a very good location. It's got a very nice bend to it, and it's pretty nice. The trigger was very good. That was one of my favorite parts of the Mauser was the trigger, and some people might hate me, but I'm gonna just show you a little bit. All right, so you do have quite a bit of take up, but once you hit the wall, you got maybe a millimeter or two of creep, and then a nice clean break. So the trigger's really nice, and the way to take the bolt out, you have this kind of lever right here on the side, and you undo the bolt, or pull the bolt to the rear, pull that lever out, and then the bolt slides right out. The machine work on this is great. It's beautiful. It's exactly what you would expect from the Germans, to be quite honest. But anyway, I gotta get this bolt back in here. Oh, I know what's going on. The magazine was catching. One thing you cannot do with this is singly load it. I mean, I'm sure you can and probably slide the cartridge in there in the extractor and stuff like that, but because it is a controlled feed rifle, you can't just kind of single load it. But the sights were great. They were dead on. And the overall just fit and finish of this rifle is so much better than the other ones. And, you know, I can't say it enough. It's exactly what you would expect. The rifling's still strong in this, and it's sturdy. Everything about it is fitted very well. It's very sturdy. It doesn't feel cheap at all. Like the 9130 feels kind of cheap. So this rifle is, I can't wait to pick up one, to be quite honest. The only complaint that I do have, and it is with the sights, is that front blade having to be buried way down deep into the rear sights. It was a little awkward for me, and it's something that I would have to get used to. But it's not like a lot of other sights. I'd rather have just a solid post as opposed to a tapered front sight blade. But that's just personal preference. Some people might like that tapered triangle type look. But the rear sight was very nice. One of the things I might change on it, depending on how I felt after I shot it a little bit more, is how deep you have to bury that front sight post in the rear sight. You have kind of like a top ledge, and then it comes down, and you have the notch for the front sight to fit into. But it reminds me a lot of a Browning BLR, the Browning lever action rifle. The way that their sights are is a lot like this, and it's kind of weird because you drop it in there and then you're like, oh, I got to bury it down a little bit further. You got to get a very fine sight picture, which, you know, does help with accuracy and stuff like that, precision, but I'd rather have it a little different. If you have any questions about the Mauser, or, you know, want to see some more cool military surplus rifles, let me know, and we'll get some more videos out there because my buddy has a lot of guns.